So let's get started. The talk which I want to do with all of you is about how to become extremely productive. So yesterday we had Hero talking about productivity, and there were other people also talking about how to get productive with your companies. So there are so many challenges you have here in scaling your companies. So you have legislative challenges, as Hero mentioned yesterday in her panel, if you listen to that. Then there are challenges on talent. It's impossible
ئازیزان تکایە بمێنەوە بۆ ئەم بابەتە گرنگە لەلایەن بەڕێز تاری سینگەوە کە باسی خێراکردنی بەرهەمدارکردنەکەین بە بەکارهێنانی ژیری دەستکرد. تکایە بمێنەوانێ بۆ پێشکەشکردنی بابەتەکە.
Okay, all right, I'll continue. So this is, the first for me, speaking to not as large a group of people, but I'm going to do as if I'll pretend like I'm sitting in front of 1,500 people, which is what I do normally. Okay, so this is me. I am CEO, chairman of a few research companies and also technology companies. I have a clicker as well, so I hope this works. And I also invest in companies and startups. So if you're planning to raise money, you should be standing here and not talking there. Just giving you guys some hint. Anyways, so this is what I do. The talk is going to be about three things. So three things and three things only. The first thing will be talking about generative AI, meaning what can this new AI do for you? The second thing that I will talk about is about productivity. I speak to people on a daily basis. I was speaking to one of the young entrepreneurs who's sitting here, in the group. And the most biggest problem that we face today is that there is one guy with an idea, and there are 10 people who don't know what to do in that startup. So you have 11 people on payroll, including the guy with the idea who's taking the least amount of money. And you have no way to scale your company. So how do you become super productive? And the third thing that I will talk about is actually, and I'm hoping that I will use that also as a template for a hackathon, which we're going to be having in Hackasuli. And that template is going to be for me to judge the startups who are participating in that competition. There's prize money, I don't know if you know about that, $3,000 each. So that is the template I will share with you, and hopefully that helps you guys. So very quickly, how do we build startups? In artificial intelligence, the whole idea of building startups is you start with the research. You need technology, obviously, some form of technology. So you need to see if the technology is feasible. You might have other constraints here in Suleimani. If you're in other regions, maybe in Germany, you might have other challenges. So there could be a lot of things that make a technology feasible or infeasible, right? And then obviously the product, it has to be viable. You cannot just make something which no one wants. And finally, people need to be able to adopt that technology. So this is a concept that we have developed within our labs. The whole idea is revolving around these frameworks. So providing insights, it's scientific because AI is all about trying to solve technology problems, perhaps even inventing new decision drugs or, finding out new pathways to cure cancer. And those kind of research are becoming fundamentally very exciting, something which, 10, 20 years ago, people thought it's impossible. So science is at the core of it. You need to be able to have the ability to invent. We have several inventions and patentable inventions to our name. And making sure that how do you do it with least amount of money? The frugality of, starting with a small amount of money and being able to build a startup is how fundamentally the Silicon Valley grew big. And now Silicon Valley, hopefully, with the right hygiene factors, can also do that. So this is a bit of a sort of the core of how startups are built. And I spent 30 years doing it, and I am now doing it on my own. These are our people, the key core people. As you if you've been to Netherlands, it's a beautiful country. Also a great place to do startups. There's a bunch of startups in the Netherlands. Germany is also a hotspot. Berlin, Hamburg. Some really nice AI startups are there. Let's take a look at this. Okay, so I think the most important thing, I'm sure everybody's been using ChatGPT and all that stuff. It becomes like more like sort of a throwaway line. ChatGPT, everybody's using it. I think the most important thing everybody's missing, is how to leverage this fundamentally, let's say, new AI system into my healthcare, fintech operations, or any other software development where, you're probably doing things the way world was in 2000. The difference between 2000 and 2023 is massive. It's tectonic, it's dramatic, it's going to be super, displacing. Now, if you look at these things, it has already proven in many cases, companies like IBM, many technology companies and some founders I know myself who have hundreds of people on their payroll are saying, we're stopping hiring smart people, white-collar workers, because I want people to have at least 3 or 4 different skill sets. I'm not just going to go and hire a software engineer. So that's where I think there's going to be a pain in the labor market, and we should all be prepared for that. I hope people are aware of that. So it's going to double the sort of knowledge workers' productivity. The cost of training AI, meaning how big companies like Google, Facebook, OpenAI, those kind of companies train those models, has dropped. The global labor market productivity is going to quadruple, 200 trillion. The current value, if anyone does not know, does anybody know what is the current value of the global labor market today? Anywhere, okay. So do you think it's anyone between 0 to 50 or 50 to 100 trillion? The first or the second? Just throw something in the air. The first, 32 trillion. So that's $32 trillion worth of productivity in the old world that will start struggling, because the new world will have companies that have 200 employees and have a valuation of $2 billion. It's already happening, actually, as we speak. Okay. Just have to point there because the laptop is there, I think. So the generative AI is, I'm not going to go into technical details. I'm a professor at a university in Naples in the Netherlands, in Utrecht. So I'm not going to go super professor here. So obviously, all these things, the image creation. How many people have typed something into DALL-E or some other interface and have been able to generate an image, right? Microsoft Bing, if you go to bing.com/create, you can have some poor version of that model to do something as well. So this is here, okay? So the most important thing, which we all discuss about the high-level stuff, the low-level and more important stuff is here. So if you look at here, this is what, and I'll just maybe put those guys on the spot. The companies that are out there working really hard are working on this sort of the cost metrics. So $150, it takes 5 hours to be able to create images. And it has dropped dramatically to 8 cents USD, and it takes less than a minute, things you are creating yourself. So you can imagine which jobs will be having some challenge, right? You can already imagine. Graphic designers, all those kind of people who used to charge you, okay, it takes me like 20 days to do this. The first 4 days, I will spend time using Adobe Photoshop and all those things to create images. And now you're saying, hang on, you don't need to do that. The CEO comes in, he says something in an interface, it's creating an image. Use these images which I have created with AI, okay? Okay, the placeholder for those who I would urge you to stay long because that's very important. The reason why I put this placeholder here is if you're building a robotics startup, if you are into 3D printing, if you are into precision therapies or any other, this is the whole ecosystem here. So if you are into these, the value, the $200 trillion is coming from this value that does not exist yet. So if you keep doing the things that in this area, if you keep doing things in this area, you're competing in a very crowded market. Your competitors will kill you. They will crush you. They will try to destroy you. If you go into this area and venturing out, they wouldn't know what you're doing. You're going to walk away with very big benefits with your company because you're using AI. So if you see the order of magnitude here will increase the potential, the commercial potential of your companies. And that is why, so if you're 3D printing plus AI, boom. If you're doing fintech plus AI, boom. And that's where, this advantage which you have, that is where. So remember this placeholder, 1. We'll go quickly. So even if we go with the very simple, so financial markets are in a bit of a trouble. Everyone knows that. It's very hard to raise money, get capital. A lot of government funding is going into keeping startups and scale-ups. In the Netherlands, we're doing it. In Germany, a lot of companies have received also the COVID, created a bit of a problem. So, holding companies together to stay afloat. But that is not the way we can continue. So even if the market is this, you still have a huge advantage because you're using technology. If this is the base case of the model, the market, so in a base case scenario, you can still make a lot of money. And let's say if you're a bull, meaning bull markets, as in there's economies going well, there are no geopolitical tensions, enemies are playing well with each other. So, let's go with this, the very simple scenario. And you actually have a huge benefit in terms of the value that can be created. So remember when I said 32 trillion, this is the value here, and this is the value in case the market expands. Okay. So the next here, and this is, so I sketched this with yesterday in a restaurant together with the person I'm very happy to have a chief operating officer since last night. I sketched this. So in fact, it gave me so many ideas. So actually, I sat the whole night to create a template, which I'm going to be using at a hackathon in the next couple of days, because that is also going to be the way for me to judge if your startup is actually trying to create value out of that. Remember that when I said that the dotted line, or are you trying to just do some things which everybody else is doing? Then your reason to exist is not so much defensible. Anyway, so here, what I'm trying to show you in this one image is, and I can just talk about it. So when electricity was invented, so how many people know the alternative and direct current battle that was going on back in 1890 time frame? Anyone has some idea? No. Let me just tell you a story. So Kensington was one company, and they were doing a direct current. And then you had Thomas Edison, and they started actually working on alternative current. The idea of alternative current was coming from the mind of a very brilliant person called Nikola Tesla. So Tesla was, he's really a brilliant guy, originally a Serbian, and there was this massive battle going on. They were fighting on this turf, which is fair. When a new market is emerging, no one knows what's going to happen. So you fight in that area with each other, want to kill each other. So eventually AC won, direct current vanished because, you know, the scale of economies have your generators and transformers and provide electricity throughout the world, how electricity is coming here in this, you know, created the idea that, oh, that's how we can actually serve the world. No one thought about this green dotted line, which is where everything that you do today, you know, in 1830s or 1850s, there was no refrigerator. You didn't have all the other appliances. So these industries have become massive. Factory manufacturing drives, household lighting. We didn't have lighting. In London, in other regions of the world, you used to use oil lamps to do this, all right? Factory secondary motors, household appliances. Electricity, think of it AI. So remember, Google's CEO uses this word a lot often. He says AI is the new electricity. I think the actual message is between the lines of what he's saying. And the message is that this is where we are all thinking, oh, AI, either it is great or it's going to destroy humanity. Ridiculous. Both are ridiculous. It's not going to be great. It's not going to destroy your jobs. Neither will it go super rogue and say, okay, let's go and destroy the world. That's all ridiculous. The reality is in between that the AI economy is going to create this new world of things, appliances, devices that don't exist today. So it is about the decoupling, meaning decouple AI from the things that will come from AI. So that is what we have to focus on. Soleimani, and okay, let me just tell you, there's a term, there are no Dutch people, but I will use sort of a Dutch-German term. So in the Netherlands, we use a term called wet van de remmende voorsprong. What that means is, it's the law, what it basically means and translated is, the law of, let's say, a progress that is preventing you to leapfrog to use the new technology. This is where we are stuck in the Netherlands and Germany and other countries today. Why? Because we have infrastructure, ICT, data centers, all those things. And today, you know, software can be built by using your smartphone. So if you were to create an application, you can talk to that interface, not just, don't think just, now think out of the box with me. So don't just think, oh, let me just log into ChatGPT and ask it to write software code, because it can. You have to think about the appliance. So your intellectual property is, so if this is ChatGPT, this is your thing which you can do, all right? This is a huge transformative force, and I am going to share stories with you which we have companies. I'm a VC as well, so I invest in startups, and there are like 6, 7 startups I put money in. With 3 to 5 people have revenue of about over €1 million. And with the way we are using, we're building a lot of stuff. So we're building the platform, we're building for energy, for alternative energy, solar panels kind of projects, but also oil and gas. We're building pillars on top of the platform. So once these things come active, remember the movie Independence Day, right? So there is this mothership that comes on top of people say, what's going on? I have no idea. And then those little other daughter ships, they come and they surround the Earth, and then suddenly, once the coordinates are aligned, boom. I mean, think of it from the positive term. If you have the right technology, you can make huge impact. Here, I'm going to go a bit faster. So the disruption is already happening. So think of it as a good news. If you are building a news company, trying to get information, create a very news, you could actually benefit from their demise. It's not a nice thing to say. So companies like BuzzFeed and Vice are dying, meaning there's money available for smart new companies to emerge. And then here you see many sectors are going to face disruption. So yesterday I heard Professor, I think first name, Hemin, he was talking about my work was quadrupled. So I think if you are using the technology, you probably can reduce that work to perhaps, I can still do my job and I can still serve hundreds of students. But if you do not, you will get overwhelmed with other software tools which students will use, other teachers will use. So you will have that challenge. So education sector, media, creative, IT, marketing, including our own business, is going to go through disruption, meaning if I don't change, someone will, some technology is going to kill me, as in destroy my business. All right. I need to beware of the cannibalization. So companies will acquire each other. So that's a big thing that we need to pay attention to as well. And this is a bit of a challenging sort of statement. I'm trying to challenge the status quo. This slide, actually, I'm writing a paper, a research paper, so you'll see about what I mean by this. So the thing is, startups only focus on hard and very hard things. When I was listening to Hero talking about it yesterday in her panel, she was not talking about fun and I have problems. She was talking about real hardcore problems she faces on a daily basis. Dealing with legislation, registration of company name, doing this, transaction, banking, getting talented people, super frustrating. So entrepreneurs have skin in the game, meaning they put everything. I have put my skin in the game. 5-6 years ago, I put my own investment, including mortgaging my house, to make sure that the technology will survive. Then COVID came, and I said, okay, now we're dead. So first I burnt all my money, and then I said, okay, now I have ideas. Now COVID comes, but fortunately, the resilience of my team helped, and we actually came out twice as stronger. We didn't take any government money at all. In the Netherlands, a lot of companies took money to survive the COVID. I'm not sure how it was in Slimani. Was there any program in Slimani also like this to help companies with certain scale? No, not all countries were forgiving. But again, talking about forgiving, now the taxman is now going after those companies and saying, okay, I want the money back, which fortunately I don't have the problem. But what I'm trying to say is that skin in the game is where you define and find the ways to make your company super innovative. And then fast things. So Hard Things is actually a great book, and I recommend any startup entrepreneur should read it. The Hard Thing About the Hard Things is written by Ben Horowitz, and he's co-founder of Mark Andreessen and Ben Horowitz Venture Fund. It's one of the biggest venture capitalist fund ever on the planet. So his book was talking about really hard things, and I go through it on a daily basis. So that's super important. Fast things is where we all struggle. So what I'm proposing to you is generative AI can be your fast thing. So you cannot escape the, I would say, legislative, other kind of technology hell which is created by the ecosystem, because the banks won't change for you. So that will remain. But technology, you can at least speed up your technology. And so, if you find yourself in this region, then I think you will find a way to do hard things faster. All right. It's a paper I'm working on, a research paper. I think it's going to be about 50 pages or something. And I'm proposing this concept of how to become a 100x organization. Meaning, you have to speed up the way to work. So, previously, in the 18th century, before electricity was invented and all that stuff, it was easy. There was a man, and they had a job, and that's what they did. And then, so human being was in control. This is what all you did. So, for example, this belt maker, and here we have Herman, who is, using a hacksaw to actually, and the anvil to punch holes in a belt. So, belt maker, right? So, the belt that I have here. And this trade actually still exists, even in the Netherlands. There are still people, old families, 200-300 years old business. I was walking in the market 2 weeks ago, and there was a belt maker, just making belt. So I'm not saying that these jobs are gone. So human being was in control. In 1920 to 1900, 2000, you had factory workers who needed to have at least 3 to 4 skills, right? So he would have to have these skills. Now, what are these skills? So if you look at it, you need to do parts installation, quality control, equipment operation, safety compliance. I'm sure this job still exists. Not in huge, Ford has come and gone, so not everybody is working in a factory, but this job still exists. Now, then you have the PayPal mafia. So the PayPal guys, guys like Elon Musk, they all are all coming out of PayPal, and they've invented and made big companies. They're like all the, LinkedIn, Tesla, I can name like 15, 20 companies. It's like massive ecosystem. So they used to define in 1995 that people should be at least 10x. So this concept of 10x is not that you should have 10 different skills. It's an idea that you're extremely fast. You can be conversant in business. You can go and start coding software. Then you're able to present on a stage like I'm doing right now. So those kind of skills, right? So, and the skills that you would have in this is, I'm just going to go quickly. So if these were the skills, so product development, software design, security, optimization, leadership skills, DevOps, the new concept that was emerging, testing. So you should be that person. And now, not many people are there. So that's why people kind of sort of vet themselves. If you you don't just end up in Silicon Valley. There is a magnet that identifies these skills. You'll be sucked into those sort of ecosystems. They find you. I mean, it's a very, very fine art. It's like basketball, all right? If anyone, and you love basketball, I know there are a couple of people who love, basketball. So you think basketball, these tall people who somehow end up in Chicago Bulls or other parts of, they just somehow, are found walking on the street. They are sucked into this ecosystem because the ecosystem understands and knows how to get these people. Technology has become successful because it knows to find the great people. So this is the sort of evolution of productivity. The thing is, now their business model is at super risk. So has anybody heard of AutoGPT? 1 hand, 2, 3, 4, 5. Very good. So AutoGPT, however, in its the primacy, or it's still sort of evolving, is something that I will be using. I sure know I will be using, because I'll be back in Slimani in 5 years, and I'll show you that there are at least 50 to 75 versions of me working doing supply chain optimization. Someone who has no idea about supply chain. Doing manufacturing, part defects analysis. But I have my minions who are doing this. This is what the future is. This is what productivity is coming to. So let's get into productivity. I can go fast because it's something we all live and breathe by understanding what that is. So this is your key skill, right? Is there anyone here, and I'm trying to engage you guys, who says, hey, listen, I can only code in Java. Or listen, I'm just a auditor. I don't know anything else. Is there anyone in the room who says, I only know one thing, and I'm great at it? When you raise your hand, that means you're invalidating your versatility. So, but what I'm trying to say is that it's very good to have the pillar, because that pillar is your foundation. You went to school, college. I'm an astronomer, for example, a physicist and an astronomer. So that was my core skill. I just couldn't use it because no one was hiring for NASA. So I ended up working in oil and gas industry, totally different industry. I learned welding. I learned safety operations. I was a firefighter. I have done all kinds of jobs. I mean, even after a doctorate, if you do those things, you become very humble, because you realize that, I'm not coming out of a pristine castle, Stanford or Slimani University. I'm a doctor. I ended up, getting bashed with learning different skills, radiography as well. So, and understanding oil and gas industry. So, put yourself in a situation to try to, pull yourself out of your comfort zone. But it's good to have a core skill. That's very important. Now, the concept of T is something we use in industry a lot. I worked also in consulting industry and KPMG. I'm not sure how many people are aware. KPMG, do they have an office here in Slimani? They do. No. But in any case, it's like Ernst & Young and same kind of people. So here you have essentially, so if skill A is your main pillar, you have skill B and C. So this could be communication skills, this could be presentation skills, this could still be software coder. So I said, oh great, so Hassan, he's very good. He's like software coder. And I told him, I cannot go to the meeting to go talk to the bank. But I asked Hassan, he was in suit. He went there, he explained the business benefit, cost optimization, bottom line, cost optimization, top-line growth, and I'm thinking, wow, he could do that. So, but you have to train people. It doesn't come magically to you, these insights. Either you're put through horrendous situations like I was when I was 25. I ended up working in an industry. I think, shit, I have to learn welding. So I'm putting that mask and I'm welding and I'm making mistakes. And I had to weld because the whole ladder in one of the installations, drill installations was broken. It was all rusty. So I said, okay, chop it off and weld. You just have a couple of hours to learn. Anyways, the concept of M and the M square is where we're coming to, is then you have like at least 5 scales. So we have, and I quantify that, we have 5x people in our company, and that's how we were able to build revenue. You have to do more, and you have to do 5 times more. Now, if you love it, it comes easy to you. If you don't love it, you'll hate your job. So I hope that people who work with me and for me love their jobs. I think they do. So these are the skills you need to have. And now, okay, so this is the most important thing, which will be demonstrated to you. You will be shocked by news in the next 6 months or maybe in the next 18 months when you will start seeing unbelievably unimaginable things like people doing 18 different things. A person in Silicon Valley or a person in Germany is able to make 3 million euros per month revenue because he has AutoGPT in 15 different platforms. It is going to happen. I can guarantee you. Why and how? So if this is your 5x, let's say the 5x model I showed you. If this is your 5x model, this is generative AI, and then what this becomes is you actually have this human and machine interface that has always been separated, right? When you were a technician working for Ford company, when you were working here in a tobacco factory which existed some time ago, your hands defined the separation of human ability to do something and that machine to be able to roll the cigar or whatever form of tobacco that was being made here. But the thing is, now this is going to go in a super hyper spin because you have found ways to merge these physical and virtual software boundaries. And this is what is the concept of M square. And this is something which we need to definitely pay attention to. So this is where huge innovation will happen. And I have really great news for you guys. And I really have, because believe me, so the future, and people are talking about exponential companies. So, and factorial is if anybody studied math, you know what a factorial is? So it's n and inverse of exclamation mark, right? So I think the concept of, so here, a linear organization is gone. If it exists, probably has moat or some form of defensibility, or it is a country that is going to kill any other new innovation. So, okay, you're innovating, just destroy this company. So it has to be a very different state in order to do that. But linear companies are gone in 10 years. Exponential and perhaps factorial, maybe it's exaggerated. But let's just focus on exponential. Companies is the future. All right, so let me go quickly now. So I actually have a few startups, and I can show you the things that the startups are doing. I am also conscious of the time. I will stop immediately if you tell me your time is up, Terry. It's up? It is up. So this is probably the most important message I want to leave you all guys with. The message is, if you, and I'll stand here, it's very important, and take pictures, because this is what I will be using as a template to build my companies. In fact, me and my newly hired chief operating officer of a startup I'm investing in, we're going to work on this model. So what is this model? So you're trying to solve some problem. You're building wind turbines, you're doing some alternative energy, you're doing fintech, you want to do blockchain or whatever your sort of thing is. As long as you are stuck in this hell, your company will not make it. The thing is, as Schwarzenegger says, get out of here. So if you are in the red zone, you will embattle with the traditional problems, getting up, running into problems, finance systems, transactions, banking, whatever. I'm not able to go. If I have launched my company here, let me set up our operations in Germany or Netherlands, and then I can do this. Let me find another Kurdish or any other person or colleague who's living there. So scaling and escaping this red area is important, because this is the new ecosystem that will emerge. The reason why I have called it custom chips, chips manufacturing is very important for Netherlands. as we speak, there will be chips that will be doing, so that remember that spinning wheel, it is not going to come just because somehow I will find 50 hands. No, I will still be a human being in this form, but I would have found the knowledge and the know-how that I will be embedded in embedded engineering in custom chips. So use this model, stay in the green zone, follow and learn generative AI. The most important last message, then I'll stop because the ladies are really anxious, is, but those guys, they stole 15 minutes of my time, is conversational computing. That's the age we are in. So today, I know Kurdish is perhaps not so popular in generative AI. It will become popular. And conversational computing is, it doesn't matter who you are, what your skill is. You don't have to be a computer scientist. You could be anyone coming from anywhere, and you can build a company, and you can raise, and in fact, do wonderful things. So with this, I'm going to let you guys go. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to me. I've sort of built companies with really blood, sweat, and tears. Now it's becoming a really pleasurable journey because we escaped this hell. This is all I talk about with the team on a daily basis. I said, what are you doing? What are you doing? I said, I'm trying to, no. I said, no, I want you to be here. I want you to make this, or I want you to make this. It doesn't exist. It doesn't matter because this is the gap. So I don't know why I'm trying to, my voice is kind of going down. I'm thinking like Schwarzenegger. Now I'm going to tell you. No. So you have to really get out of here. So you need to find your way to build this ecosystem because I've shortened this timeline. So 2020 we are here. 2040 we'll be here. You'll still be young. And in 15 years, or maybe 10 years, I'm going to come here and ask you guys, what did you achieve? Did you stay in the old world, or did you escape and use generative AI to increase your productivity? Thank you. I'm not sure if you have time for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Tarry. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a workshop going on in the closed area. It's about game development. Anyone who is interested can enter. Azizan, ئێستا وەرکشۆپێک هەیە لە شوێنە داخراوەکە دەربارەی پەرەپێدانی یاری هەر کەسێ ویستی و ئارەزومەند بوو ئەتوانێت بچێتە ئەوێ و بەشداری بکات.
بەڕێزان ئەگەر پرسیارێکتان هەیە لە بەڕێز تاریە توانین وەریگرین.
Yeah, go ahead.
First of all, thank you very much for the great talk. I really enjoyed it, and I think that's the reason I'm here today.
Yeah, speak up louder.
Hello?
Yeah.
You can hear me now.
This
okay,
is
great.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for the talk. It was great. Anyways, my question is like, what makes the human unique in your equation of m squared? It's like AI can duplicate, replicate, and most importantly, do. You know, in like this day, ChatGPT can actually go and trick a human being of being a human, you know? So it's like, if anybody can do anything with AI, what makes us unique in this situation? Thank you.
Sure. So electricity was not invented by AI, neither the next cure for cancer or new materials that, right now, we are trying to figure out new materials. So for example, if regions that are more earthquake prone, you need to figure out, you have to do fundamental research to be able to find new material, invent new alloys if you're trying to find new metal. That is not going to be done by AI. So human is going to be supreme commander. Actually, he's going to be the supreme commander of that rocket ship in which you will actually control more of these systems. So I think our cognitive, so it is upon us. It is a cry, actually. It's a scream, a cry. I'm explaining this. It's a scream and cry. Raise your bar, your cognition. We are born with amazing cognition, right? We have close to 500 billion synapses in our brain that is creating the universe on a daily basis. If you pay attention, if you don't, if you're doing a job, it doesn't matter because then you become a robot. You have become like a machine, but you have to rise above the machine to be able to create that ecosystem, the service, appliances, solutions, those chips. inventing AI algorithms that are specifically used to take care of elderly, a green tech solution that requires some kind of a human feedback loop. ChatGPT has thousands of people working behind the interface to make it sound like you because it is desperately wants to be like you. But it doesn't fathom anything about who you are. It is just technology. These are pure statistical models that have learned to figure out that you give me some text, I will generate tokens. That's what this model, it's a transformer-based model. It basically tries to mimic the way we try to, and we remember things. We have short-term memory and we have long-term memory. You will remember things about your mother, but you will not remember who you had beer with 6 months ago if you were focused on looking at a pretty girl when you were at the bar, right? You would say, who was that guy? But that's how human brain works. Now, ChatGPT wants to be that human brain, so it will trick you in those areas. So there are areas where we are surprised and shocked, and I tell people, don't be surprised or shocked, that's ridiculous. It's trying to mimic you in your weakness, in your when you're not in your cognitive skills, right? So like Einstein used the thought experiment and had, so the light passing through the window, and when the light passed through the window, he's looking at particle, and he's looking, oh, light is as much of as it's a particle as much as it's a wave. That led Einstein to create, not just the EMC square, but also eventually being able to predict the existence of gravitational waves in 1915. 1915, based on theoretical models made by human brain, who used to sit and look at the light and say, what's going on here? 2015, 100 years later, gravitational waves were detected because of two large neutron stars. Those are the dying galaxies. They collided with each other, and those waves are, even as we speak, it's being measured because we're feeling the waves right now on Earth. ChatGPT cannot do that. It's us who will do this. So that's how we should believe in it. So human ingenuity, human cognition, finally, if you're a believer, I'm a religious person, so if God puts you on Earth to create Earth as a beautiful place, fight poverty, all the problems that we have in our society, reduce inequality, things that we have ignored, I think that is a great opportunity to solve it at $0.08 per hour cost. So I would say use ingenuity and cognition. So, and I think that's what we're going to make it happen. No questions? Thank you very much. Have a good day. Speak to you guys soon again.